From moments to movements, creating trends, not following them. Have you ever looked at someone's outfit and thought, I could never pull that off? That hesitation, that moment of doubt is exactly where innovation dies. And it's precisely what Khaliah Clark refuses to accept in her revolutionary approach to fashion styling. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Khaliah, a visionary celebrity fashion stylist whose philosophy transcends the superficial world of clothing and cuts straight to the heart of what it means to be a true innovator. Her impact on the fashion industry isn't just about creating stunning looks, it's about dismantling the very notion that Black professionals must follow rather than lead, that we must wait for permission rather than create our own opportunities. Kalia doesn't just style celebrities, she transforms how we think about creativity, authenticity, and legacy in an industry that often prioritizes conformity over innovation. What struck me most about Kalia was her unwavering commitment to what she calls momente, the idea that we shouldn't just create fleeting moments, but movements that leave lasting legacies. In a world obsessed with viral 15 minutes of fame, she's building something that will outlast trends, seasons, and even careers. The difference between good and great, Kalia told me, her eyes flashing with conviction, is the courage to create what doesn't yet exist. This isn't just fashion philosophy, this is life philosophy. And it got me thinking, how many of us are spending our precious energy following trends instead of creating them? How many brilliant ideas have died in that moment of hesitation when we thought, that's not how things are done? The fashion industry has always been a perfect microcosm of larger societal patterns. Those with privilege and power dictate what's in and what's out. The rest of us scramble to keep up, to fit in, to follow. But what happens when someone refuses to play by those rules? What happens when someone says, I'm not waiting for a seat at your table, I'm building my own? Let me tell you about Zarina Akers. After years of styling Beyonce and creating iconic looks for projects like Black is King, Akers could have simply continued her successful career following the established playbook. She had made it by conventional standards. She had the celebrity clients, the magazine features, the industry respect. But Akers looked at an industry with systemic inequities and limited visibility for Black designers and said, I'm going to change this. Not someday, not when it's convenient. Now, she created Black owned everything, a comprehensive marketplace showcasing Black owned businesses in fashion, not just a directory, a movement, not just a moment, a momentee. The platform has now highlighted hundreds of Black owned brands, creating economic opportunities and fundamentally changing the conversation about representation in fashion. Akers didn't wait for the industry to become more inclusive. She created a platform that forced change. She didn't ask for permission to innovate, she simply did it. This is what Kalia means when she talks about creating trends rather than following them. It's about refusing to accept the limitations of existing systems and instead building new ones. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most revolutionary act is to create the thing you wish existed. Consider Law Roach, who came from Chicago's South Side to face an elitist fashion industry with established gatekeepers and limited opportunities for Black stylists. Did he try to fit into the existing hierarchy? Did he politely wait his turn? Did he dilute his vision to make it more palatable? No, he literally invented his own job title, image architect. That's not just clever branding, that's revolution. That's saying your boxes are too small for what I do. By refusing to accept the traditional role of stylist as clothes picker, Roach elevated the entire profession. He developed signature aesthetics that transformed clients like Zendaya into fashion icons and became the first stylist inducted into the Council of Fashion Designers of America. Starting with a vintage store in Chicago, he built relationships with celebrities and developed a reputation for transformative styling that tells stories and creates cultural moments. His work with Zendaya, Celine Dion, and Anya Taylor Joy didn't just make them look good, it created distinctive visual identities that changed how we think about celebrity image. When Roach styled Zendaya for the Met Gala as Joan of Arc in a metallic Versace gown, it wasn't just a beautiful outfit. It was a statement about power, about history, about reclaiming narratives. When he transformed Celine Dion's image from Vegas headliner to haute couture icon, he wasn't just changing her wardrobe, he was rewriting her story. This is the essence of what Khaliah embodies, the understanding that true innovation comes from creating rather than following, from leading rather than waiting for permission. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to play by rules that weren't made for you in the first place. Or look at Misa Hilton, who transformed hip hop fashion in the 1990s when hip hop fashion wasn't taken seriously by the mainstream industry. There were few pathways for Black women in fashion styling then. But instead of trying to fit into existing paradigms, Hilton created groundbreaking looks that merged luxury fashion with street style. Remember Lil Kim's 1999 MTV Video Music Awards outfit with that purple pasty? That wasn't just a fashion moment, it was a cultural statement that helped legitimize hip hop fashion and open doors for collaboration between urban culture and high fashion that continue today. That single look challenged everything the fashion establishment thought was appropriate or tasteful. It forced the industry to reckon with its narrow definitions of beauty and style. It said, we're not asking for your approval, we're defining what's cool now. Starting as a teenager styling artists at Uptown Records, Hilton developed relationships with emerging artists like Mary J. Blige and Jodeci, creating distinctive looks that helped define their public personas. Beyond her styling work, she established the Misa Hilton Fashion Academy to mentor young stylists of color and ensure the next generation has opportunities she didn't have. The fashion aesthetics Hilton pioneered in the 1990s continue to influence contemporary fashion, with luxury brands now regularly collaborating with hip hop artists and embracing the cultural fusion she helped establish. What was once dismissed as urban or street is now coveted by the very establishments that once looked down on it. This is what Kalia means by momente, creating something that outlasts the moment and becomes a movement, something that changes not just what we wear, but how we think. But here's where it gets interesting and where Kalia's wisdom extends far beyond fashion. This philosophy of creating rather than following applies to every industry, every career path, every life. How many of us are spending our energy trying to fit into existing systems rather than creating new ones? How many of us are following trends rather than setting them? How many of us are waiting for permission to be great? I want you to take a moment right now and think about your own work. Are you a trend follower or a trend creator? And before you answer too quickly, understand that being a trend creator doesn't mean you have to revolutionize an entire industry overnight. It means bringing your authentic perspective to whatever you do. Kalia emphasizes that authentic self expression and fearless creativity are at the heart of standout success. When you embrace your unique perspective, especially as a Black woman in spaces not designed for you, you're not just doing good work, you're changing the very nature of what good work looks like. This isn't easy. Creating trends rather than following them means facing rejection. It means hearing that's not how we do things, or that's too risky, or the market isn't ready for that. It means standing alone sometimes. It means being called difficult or unrealistic or too much. But as Kalia would say, that's where the magic happens. That's where movements begin. That's where Momentai is born. Maya Angelou once said, if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. In Kalia's world, normal is just another word for forgettable. The truth is, the world doesn't need more followers. The industries we work in don't need more people maintaining the status quo. What we need, what the world desperately needs, are people brave enough to create new paths, especially Black women who have been systematically excluded from so many spaces for so long. When Kalia talks about building a lasting legacy, she's talking about creating something bigger than a fleeting moment. She's talking about establishing an impact that transcends temporary fame or recognition. She's talking about changing the rules of the game so that those who come after you can play on a more level field. So I challenge you today. Stop waiting for permission to innovate. Stop looking for validation before you create. Stop following trends and start setting them. The world doesn't need your compliance. The world needs your courage. The world needs your unique vision, your authentic voice, your fearless creativity. Don't just create a moment, create a movement, create a momentary. The difference between those who follow trends and those who create them isn't talent or opportunity or luck, it's courage. The courage to stand alone, the courage to be first, the courage to say, this is how it could be, when everyone else is saying, this is how it's always been. That courage, that's what changes industries. That's what builds legacies. That's what transforms moments into movements. So the next time you find yourself thinking, I could never pull that off, remember Kalia's wisdom. Remember Zarina Akers creating a platform when no one would give her one. Remember Law Roach inventing a title when the existing ones were too limiting. Remember Misa Hilton creating looks that an entire industry said were impossible until they became inevitable. Then take a deep breath, silence the doubt, and pull it off anyway, because the world is waiting for your momente. The world is waiting for you to stop following and start creating. The world is waiting for you to transform your moment into a movement that will change everything. What are you waiting for?